one of the things we are going to talk about, and I know that you're really keen on all of this with the change in leadership in Washington and all these new government policies, there's going to be some changes in regards to real estate, insurance, construction. Why don't you share that with our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it remains to be seen, right? Like what, how these tariffs are going to play out. But from my perspective, as someone that's represented the building community for a long time in Lake Tahoe, I'm nervous because we get a lot more lumber from Canada than I think people realize. And I also, if we're going to have tariffs on some of that too, how's that going to affect local lumber costs as well? And I think just people don't realize, the cost of construction these days and why what I'm seeing in town here locally is new construction tapering off to much lower than I've seen over the 20 plus years I've been involved.
Right. Now, not only lumber, but also steel. I mean, because we are looking at a lot of steel framing in some of the newer constructions. How do you perceive that's going to roll out?
Yeah, so steel, sure. It's just I'm more on the residential side, so we don't see quite as much steel, even though we see a little bit of obviously, and certainly like the larger projects, bigger construction is going to incorporate more steel. But yeah, I just right now building materials are it's really expensive on top of labor costs, obviously. Insurance is a big one, especially now. We remains to be seen what the fallout's going to be like in California after the LA fires. We were already having situations up here ever since Caldor, even before that. So that's going to be challenging. And then the extra red tape locally that we're dealing with too is just increasing the cost to where it's hardly profitable anymore to build houses unless the prices go way up on the back end, which everybody's complaining about that and talking about affordable housing. So it's a pretty vicious circle, honestly.
Boy, oh boy, you talk about a vicious cycle, as you just said. That is certainly one. Now, let's talk about financing right now. What are we looking at as far as interest rates for primary first mortgages?
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? And so interest rates, I mean, during the heyday of COVID, we saw rates down in the twos and threes, and now we're seeing it up close to seven, depending on if you're a conforming loan limit or you're in the jumbo world or it's a first home, second home, investment property, et cetera. And then you're seeing like HELOCs, home equity lines of credits and refinances and stuff even higher than that, depending. So that's making it, I mean, they say for every 1% of increase in interest rate, it affects 10, 11% of your buying power. And so that's a radical difference for a lot of people and keeping a lot of people out of the market right now.
Exactly. Now, with regards to inventory, I know the last time we chatted, inventory was a little bit lower than normal. Are we still seeing a low inventory trend?
Yeah, which is interesting, right? Like you have all these negative things we're just talking about, and yet the inventory is super low, which really typically swings the pendulum towards the seller's market. So we went back historically. I talked to some investors the last few days and looking back just like maybe 10 years. So 2016, 17, 18, looking at numbers. This time of year, like literally on this date yesterday, we're averaging usually around 180 single family units available for sale. We're down to 80 and we have 47 homes in contract right now. So that's like, 40% of our inventory or so. And so this is just really historically low numbers. And we're actually fairly busy market right now because of it.
Now, are you seeing full offers, above offers? Above listing offers right now?
As long as people are realistic, right? So what unfortunately we saw a lot is people that bought during COVID and maybe for whatever reason didn't work out for them. They didn't like the snow, the mountains, maybe they returned to work and they're trying to make a profit off of buying a home in 21, 22, et cetera, when without doing anything to the house. So those guys that are just tacking some inflated, just random 20% on top of what they
Right.
paid, they're not moving. But if you're realistic and you're priced to sell, we are seeing homes turn very quickly right now. Like I wouldn't have said that 3 months ago, but we're in a good little hot micro market right now.
All right, folks, head on over to TahoeSalmon.com. Mark, we really appreciate you tuning in and joining us this evening. Folks, head over to his website. Seriously, sign up for his monthly newsletter. I know I really glean a lot of information. Mark, have a great day.
Thanks for having me. Have a nice evening.